Stay tuned in this episode. We're going to talk about the class action lawsuits that we're seeing going around the country. So stay tuned. I'm Chris.
And I'm Dina.
And we're one innovative group of Platinum One Properties.
And if you're interested in listing your home for sale, please give us an opportunity to talk to you today.
So don't forget, we actually represent buyers and sellers for residential or commercial property. We do property management and help people find leases or rent out their homes. You can reach us by calling 877-852-4401, or you can scan the QR code below.
That's right.
So thank you again for joining us, guys. I'm going to be interviewing our very own Dina Salazar, broker owner of Platinum One Properties, and the team lead of One Innovative Group. So how are you doing today, Miss Dina?
I'm doing great. How are you, Chris?
I'm good. So can you tell us, as of today, how are buyers' agents typically getting paid?
For decades, we have been getting paid through the listing agent. So a listing agent goes to a seller with their agreement, and they agree on a commission that is negotiable. It always has been. The standard here in the Houston, Texas area has been 6% typically for a listing agent. Sometimes it's a little less. And at closing, the listing agent, any way in which they have marketed the listing on the MLS, typically it'll state what they're going to pay a buyer's agent.
So the buyer's agents, whenever they're showing, typically know, if we get this deal closed, this is about how much I'm going to make.
Absolutely.
Okay. And just as a reminder, it says that it's to the buyer's agent, but it's not just that agent getting that commission. They actually have to have a split with their broker. There's things that the agents have to pay for: errors and omissions insurance, marketing, advertising, healthcare. It's not like these agents are salaried employees.
Exactly. So an agent has to have their license held by a broker. And as you said, the broker is paying for insurance and other things, advertising and so forth for the office, and maintaining an office costs money. So it's very difficult for agents to make a living when people are talking about, hey, let's not pay their commission now. It's not fair to pay their commission, or they're getting paid too much. Many real estate agents can't even afford health care.
Yeah. So that's as of today. So can you tell us a little bit about the class action lawsuits that are going on around the country?
So it's been a trickle-down effect, right? Since in Missouri, they won the class action lawsuit in regard to stating that realtors were inflating the commissions and so forth, and it was wrong. So now they've included many brokerages, many large brokerages in this, and in response, brokerages are becoming angry with the National Association of Realtors.
Well, because it wasn't just the brokerages being listed, it was also the National Association of Realtors, if I remember correctly.
Yes. So the National Association of Realtors is supposed to be looking out for the best interests of the realtors and the consumers that we represent. They didn't feel that we were represented properly, and that's why we lost.
Okay. So let's say that this actually changes the real estate industry. Because we're actually seeing they got the plaintiff won in Missouri. And so now we're actually seeing other class action lawsuits around the country, including the state of Texas.
That's right.
So if this is a major change to where it's no longer the listing brokerage splitting the commission with the buyer's agent, what implications do you think we're going to see with this?
Well, I feel that it's going to hurt the buyers for sure, because many buyers are barely able to come up with their down payment and closing costs and make this major purchase with it, which is usually the largest purchase they'll ever make in their life. Okay, and they should have representation. They should feel comfortable with knowing they have an agent to look through their paperwork, to represent them, and to guide them properly. Many will have to just say, probably, I'm not going to have the funds to do this, and things can go wrong.
So you're either going to see people out there trying to pay an agent so that way they can have proper representation, or you're going to see maybe people trying to buy without having representation.
Yes, and that's going to be unfortunate. I think as far as realtors, we need to be prepared. We need to educate our clients, understand, letting sellers know the importance of having a commission split. How enticing it is for, if you're marketing and you see no commission, what happens? You're going to go to the next listing that is offering one.
Well, and that's the thing is that as of today, you could not, or at least as of a couple months ago, you could not put 0
That's true.
in the MLS. You had to at least put, and maybe we can speak to this, is that you actually had clients that were interested in buying,
Right.
and a listing that had been on the market for what we felt was too long, and then we saw $1 in there. You want
Yes.
to talk about that a little bit?
So the listing was on the market an exaggerated amount of time, and people were thinking, well, gosh, maybe something's wrong with the home.
Because, I remember we toured the property with the buyer together,
Yeah.
and that was actually a nice property, and they were allowing Airbnb, short-term rentals,
Yes.
and that's what our clients were interested in. But then we're like, hey, why is this going so long? And I do remember that the listing agent was like, well, we're just being preemptive. Even though, because that was even before the case had come to a verdict.
True. So he was jumping on the bandwagon, holding on to whatever commissions he agreed to, and not paying out
A split.
a split. So it was a buck.
Yeah.
So essentially, you're driving all around town, using your gas, your time, your energy, and researching and so forth. There's a lot that goes into being a real estate agent, right? And to get a slap in the face like that, and that, it hasn't even reached us yet to that degree, and people already,
Well, because that was the thing. He was like, well, don't you have a buyer's representation agreement? And you were like, well, of course. But then you actually had to have the conversation with the buyers.
Yeah.
How did that go?
Well, not well. The buyers at that point have to examine their finances. What do they have left, if anything at all, to make this purchase, to pay their closing costs, looking at down payment, moving expenses. There's a lot that goes into it.
So those were investors. So not only would they have had closing costs, they would have had closing costs. They would have actually had down payment funds. As investors, this wasn't going to be their primary residence, so that was going to be at least 10 to 20%,
Yes.
depending on the loan. But then you're going to have to pay 2 to 3% commission to your agent.
Yeah.
And people need to remember that agents are not just, oh, I wrote the contract, I'm done. Your buyer's agent is making sure that you're actually meeting your contractual time frame. You have to make sure that your earnest money is paid within the 3 calendar days from the time we go under contract.
Exactly.
You have an option period. You have to make sure that, as the buyer's agent, that you have responded by 5 p.m. on that last day.
Exactly.
And that any negotiations that you need to do, say that the property has to have repairs, that you have to get estimates for those repairs and already have negotiated, repairs being in an amendment before that deadline.
You're absolutely right. There's so much that goes into a transaction. And I think the problem is that, with our society and technology, the realtors tend to post themselves, celebrating victories. Closing day, driving fancy cars, some of them, and, really trying to boost themselves that way. But the reality is the work that it took to get to that point,
hidden.
It's hidden, and we don't talk enough about it, and we don't want to bother our clients with every step that we're making every day, every phone call, the marketing expenses, and so forth that's happening behind the scenes. So we're holding deals together. We're making things happen. We're in communication with title company and lenders, counseling the buyers. I mean, this is an ongoing process from beginning to end.
And I mean, I think that's the big key thing is that everyone has to remember that your agent is not just posting glamour shots on closing day with their clients because, you walked in and the first house that you saw was the one you loved. Many times it is many miles, many hours, many home tours
Yes.
before a contract is even written.
Yes, it's going to be interesting, but for the real estate professionals that are watching, I think it's very important now that you prepare. Get your listing presentations together and detail them out. What is it that you're going to do to sell that home and earn that commission? And why is it important that you have the normal commission split that we're used to in order to pay a buyer's agent? Because when you're not able to pay a buyer's agent, that property will stay on the market longer, I promise you.
I agree with that because we've actually worked with clients this year that they were a large family.
I remember that. Yeah.
It was a family of 10 trying to buy their first home together. And, they didn't have an extra 2 or 3%, an extra $6,000 to $8,000 because their budget was on the lower end.
That's right.
So, I mean, 3% on a $225,000 home to some people going, oh, well, it's only $6,500, let's just say, for a round number. But whenever you're a family who's trying to buy, or maybe you're sitting on the couch right now watching this on your phone or on your TV, and as I'm saying that, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so we can bring you some more great content. But, your agent's there to help you get across that line. And if you listen to your professional, they're wanting to make sure that they're your best interest and they have the fiduciary duty. That means that they have to look out on your best behalf, even if that means that they get a smaller commission.
That's right. Or none at all.
Yeah.
Sometimes. So I think that we need to prepare. I think education is key. I think that for those sellers and buyers who are out there watching or thinking about participating in the real estate market anytime soon, keep in mind how important it is to have a real estate professional on your side and how important it is for them to get paid at the end of the day, just like you go to work. Maybe you're working from 9 to 5. Many of these realtors, and I'm talking about myself, are working 7 days a week. We don't have days off. I mean, it's just around the clock because we're concerned about making our deals work. It's a non-stop event, that's continuous and interrupting family time if we have any at all.
Yes.
So I think just tune in. We have a lot more content to discuss. And if you have any comments you'd like to make on the matter, please feel free to share with us.
Leave those comments below, guys. Remember, like, share, follow, hit that notification bell, and I think we'll see you on the next one.